Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. It's with great delight that I welcome Charlie the Hurricane Skillen from the Mail Online back into the studio. Charlie, it's been far too long.
Way too long. Nice day with you at Leicester, though.
Very nice, yeah. A great result as well.
Yeah,
loved it. Loved the League Cup, and we will come on to that in a moment. But the only place to start is we're at the beginning of a very, very pivotal weekend in the Premier League. Chelsea are playing away from home at Arsenal. This is massive, isn't it? This is why we go. This is a zenith of following your team, at least domestically.
Yeah, 5:30 kickoff as well.
Oh, it's going to be superb.
Yeah,
it really is.
We've
both got a ticket. I cannot wait to get in that stadium. It's going to be rocking. And we've got a very good record against them recently. I loved last year. It was probably the highest point for me last year, going and getting that victory at Arsenal. I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, there wasn't too much competition for that.
No, but that was up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Really was.
Definitely. I'll be honest, I'd snap your hand off for a draw right now.
I did not see that coming. Are you genuinely?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a lot more confident than that.
I'll be honest, I just don't think we've been playing very well over the past couple of weeks. At some point, we've got to stop conceding. You know,
True.
But Burnley's the only game in which we kept a clean sheet, and most of our wins so far have been, clawing it back from the jaws of defeat, which is great, and it's great to see. But I don't think you can take that chance against a team like Arsenal.
I concede that going to Arsenal is always going to be very tough, and that's not going to be any different this year. You know, they've turned a corner, they're rediscovering a bit of form, but let's not forget that this is an Arsenal team that conceded 4 goals against Liverpool on the opening day of the season.
Yeah, of
Liverpool mullered them.
Yeah, of course. Don't get me wrong, it wouldn't surprise me to see a Chelsea win. I think, as has been the case of the last 10, 12 years, thankfully, in much kind of difference to when we were growing up. Chelsea have had a massive hoodoo over Arsenal, which has been brilliant and culminated in great results for us. I just think, I just don't think we've got the best momentum going into this game.
No, but I think that games like this aren't always about momentum.
No,
Momentum is a wonderful thing, but games
true.
like this often exist in a vacuum, don't they? Like when there's a London derby or a big thing, it's irrelevant what's gone before. Or
I mean, look, we saw that last season when Chelsea
we did the
terrible.
double in our lowest ebb. We did the double over Arsenal, so we certainly can do it.
Yeah.
Do you think, I think this is the question that's on everyone's lips, do you think Cesc Fabregas has done enough to play his way into the starting lineup?
Oh, absolutely. Without question.
Do you think he will? Okay, different question. Has he done enough? I concede that he has as well. Will he start?
No, I don't think so. I just think, for whatever reason, and I can't stand here and explain it because I don't agree with it, I think Conte is absolutely, in the Premier League, especially against big sides, I think Conte is absolutely set on his midfield of Kante, Oscar and Matic. For me, I'll be severely disappointed if Fabregas isn't playing. I know I'm saying that as someone who has criticised him in the past, and that's that criticism has been valid. I think there is stuff to criticise about Fabregas and deficiencies in his game, but I think that the Liverpool game, for example, it drove me nuts that it took, what was it,
86 minutes?
Yeah, to bring him on.
Yeah, I agree. When so much impact every time he's come on.
Yeah, maybe that's how Conte's using him. We saw against Leicester how obviously he won us the game, but I just think at the minute Chelsea are crying out for creativity.
Yes.
And he is really the only player that provides that in that way.
And also, cast your minds back to that wonderful victory that we've referred to just moments ago. Fabregas was unplayable.
He was magic.
He was so good. He literally was magic. He was fantastic. And we know what it means for him going back to Arsenal. I think he holds Arsenal very dear to his heart.
That's a huge thing as well. No one more in that squad knows what it means to go to the Emirates and get 3 points.
Exactly.
I just can't see Conte changing it.
Okay.
I think he's been overly reluctant to change it so far.
Yes.
I think Fabregas would, as long as you compensate for Fabregas' deficiencies, which is kind of the main.
Which Matic and Kante could well do.
Possibly. I mean, to be honest, I'd prefer to see Matic out of the side and Fabregas in. I think
it's a very lightweight midfield if you do that.
It is, but I just don't see what Matic is adding at the minute.
Power, big tackles.
But he's not though.
No, but in theory.
In theory, if you've got him in the team on FIFA 17, but at the minute he's not doing any of those things. So and Oscar actually, apart from the Liverpool game, has actually played pretty well this season. Right. And especially defensively, which
is so interesting to see.
It is. It really is.
Do you know what? Obviously, Mourinho really did have a hoodoo over Wenger.
Yeah.
He just couldn't beat him. I know he got the Charity Shield, but he really just couldn't do it. Do you know one of the most brilliant moments in Jose Mourinho's tenure at Chelsea, and there were so many to choose from, Do you remember on Wenger's special day? It was Wenger's thousandth game. Wenger's 1,000th game in charge of Arsenal. It really was all geared up for Wenger to finally get a result over Mourinho. And we smashed them
6-0.
6-0. I think we're 4-0 up at half-time.
Yeah, I mean, that day.
I remember Sammy Eto'o. I remember the ball broke early to Andre Schürrle. Schürrle carried it forward, laid it off to Eto'o. Eto'o cuts in from the right, pings it in.
Even
with
Salah
left.
scored.
It was so good. It really was a wonderful day. It was boiling hot.
Yeah,
and
early kickoff.
I think that this game, you mentioned that this game is something to do with Wenger. This is another pivotal moment in his career.
All week at the Mail, we've been celebrating 20 years of Wenger, which is like, apart from Ferguson, is absolutely unprecedented in the modern era. And, you know, something that is quite rightly celebrated. You know, obviously there's debates, particularly from Arsenal fans, over whether he should still be at the club. But certainly in the way that he's changed English football and the amount of very decent sides that he's overseen, it is certainly a landmark worth appreciating in the wider football community anyway. Having said that, it would be very, very Chelsea again to spoil the party.
Yes.
With an emphatic win.
Yes, it would. Conte, do you feel like Conte, obviously Mourinho had it. Yeah. Do you think that Conte is a man who could counter Wenger? Yeah, definitely.
Conte teams have definitely got that in them. If Arsenal are being a little bit ponderous and Conte has got Chelsea firing, and Conte, like we know he can do, like we've seen from him in the past before he came to Chelsea, and we've seen in little patches since he's been at the club, I think we can definitely exploit any deficiencies in Arsenal's game with speed, with power, with pace, with directness.
What do you think? What do you think about the back line? I think that's going to be crucial, isn't it? But do you think the back line will have, say, John Terry back in it? Do you think he's going to be fit enough?
The back line, I certainly hope John Terry is fit. We still don't have an update on that. We're probably looking to get that, day before the game, very late Friday evening.
Does he play if he is fit?
Yeah, 100%. He's got to. I mean, look, for me, it's ludicrous that we're in this position again where, I mean, without Terry, the organisation of the back line for me goes to absolute pot.
But even coming back from injury, do you think it's a game that you can throw him into, or is it throwing him in the deep end?
John Terry's been thrown in hundreds of deep ends. You know, it's a risk. Don't get me wrong; it's a massive risk. But for me, it's a calculated risk worth taking. I think you saw against Liverpool how basically shambolic the organisation of the back line was. Cahill is, for me, for all Cahill's good points, of which there are many, not that you'd kind of know from a lot of criticism he's got this season, he's proved that he cannot organise a back line. No. He's there as a last-ditch man.
And that's not what David Luiz is, and Thibaut Courtois proved that he's not a keeper that can marshal a back line either.
Thibaut Courtois cannot marshal a back line for anything in the world.
Speaking of which,
go on.
Thibaut Courtois, some of his comments have really upset a lot of our viewers. It's
upset
me.
Again, it happens time and time again, doesn't it? I mean, there really is no smoke without fire. I've seen a lot of comment. Well, like you say, the Chelsea fans on Twitter have been almost unanimous in condemning him, which I think is perfectly fair enough. Some other people I've seen are saying, "Oh, it's the quotes taken out of context." That's absolute rubbish. Those quotes are there for a reason. And also
they're quotes, aren't they? Like, when it's a quotation, it can't really be manipulated.
No, and he knows what he's doing. He knows he's angling to get that move. He was speaking to Marca, which is the Madrid-based paper. Yeah. So he knows what he's doing.
Do you feel like he's going to leave? Do you think that's the next line in the next page in the script here?
Certainly not in January. Probably not in the summer unless the situation changes. But look, I mean, he's openly said that he'll be looking at his options when his contract runs out, which is 2018, so at the end of next season.
How does it make you feel, not as a journo, as a fan?
As a fan, no, I think it's very poor. I want to see I don't want to see players already angling for their next move. I don't want players using Chelsea as a stepping stone.
Yes, sure.
I think it's, what you can debate the various merits of them all day, but it grates particularly that an absolutely total 100% club legend was let go in favour of him, and frankly, his performances haven't been very good at all. I don't think. I think overall he's been a mediocre keeper for Chelsea, albeit a very, very talented one. That's not an issue. Like he is world class keeper.
I think he's got too much to say, hasn't he? I think when you're the kind of man who gets lobbed by Charlie Adam from the halfway line, you should probably pack it in a bit.
I mean, for me, he is obviously one of the best. I think he's one of the best shot stoppers in world football. But I think when you're in the Premier League at the top level,
So much more than that.
It's so much more.
Marshalling a back line.
Shot stopping is almost the least important point because, the top teams don't concede very many shots. It's marshalling a back line. It's making sure that everyone's marking where they're supposed to be.
Distribution.
Petr Cech and John Terry were brilliant at organising that between them. Courtois has not stepped up to that mark. You saw that. You saw that goal against the first goal against Liverpool. I mean, the mark, and I'm not blaming him solely, but the whole unit as a back line, and he is a crucial component of that. And I never think he's very good at coming and claiming the ball and commanding a 6-yard box either. So all that plus his constant quotes, of which these are just the latest.
Tiresome.
It is tiresome, yeah.
On to a hero of mine. You've got some news for us on John Obi Mikel.
Yeah, look, he's obviously not played yet this season. He was at the Olympics with Nigeria. But the news, I know he's a hero, yours, a hero of mine. He's going to be looking at other clubs in January. We might finally. For me, we're kind of nearing the end. We're nearing a natural end. I was delighted to see Nathaniel.
He's been a brilliant servant.
He has.
We understand.
I was delighted to see Nathaniel Chalobah finally make his debut against Leicester.
Well.
Did play well. Yeah. He did play well, and I think if he was to take kind of the Mikel role in the squad, I think everyone would be kind of happy. But Mikel's contract runs out at the end of the year, so obviously in January he can start talking to clubs. He's already looking at places like China and all the rest of it. So
he'll get his big money move.
And
well deserved, John.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the route they're going to go down.
Right, fair enough. The last thing that we need to talk about here is something that's filling me with a lot of joy, and that is the fixture in the League Cup. I love the League Cup. Yes. I wrote something for our website today. Make sure you check out our website if you're not aware of it already. The link is in the description. But I wrote a piece about just my love of the League Cup and how excited I am about West Ham away. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
It's a great draw. It's a great draw for Chelsea fans. It's an early trip to the Olympic Stadium. I was really looking forward to going there anyway. Obviously, I get to go a little bit earlier now. I think it's scared West Ham a little bit because they've had so many issues with the segregation and the stewarding and the policing, and suddenly, you've got
Chelsea. Yeah, it's one thing playing Watford at home and Bournemouth at home. It's a very different thing, isn't it, when Chelsea are coming to town? Do you think we'll get a lot of tickets? Have you heard anything about that? Well,
they're still in negotiations. EFL Cup rules state that Chelsea are entitled to 10% of the tickets, which I think is, 5,500?
Maths is not my strong point.
In the Olympic Stadium, no, nor me.
That sounds very generous, though.
It's 10%.
With the issues going on in the stadium, it sounds quite generous.
Well, this is what the negotiations are about.
Right.
So, obviously West Ham would like to keep it to an absolute minimum, and give us. They've got to give us at least the league allocation, which is 3,000. We're entitled to 5,500. It will be great. And there's lots of things happening with the Met, and how much police they can get in the stadium, because they haven't been able to have a presence in that stadium at all. So far, which has been what a lot of the problems are about. Okay. But it's definitely one to keep an eye on, and look, I'll be going regardless, so I cannot wait for that game.
It'll be a great fixture, that's for sure. Right, this is just we'll just do a quick Q&A, and then we'll be done. So the first question is from Tom Mercer, and the question is about Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham has been pinging them in. He's out on loan.
You can say that again. It's been incredible.
It really is. Every single game he plays, he score a goal.
I've got bored of texting my Bristol City mate. For the first couple of weeks, I was texting him Tammy Abraham. I just got bored of it.
Tom Mercer wants to know: do you think that there's a place for him in the first team next year?
Depends what he means. I mean, the starting 11, no, probably not. I mean, you're still going to want someone with international experience, especially if we're in the Champions League as we hope. The first team squad, I don't really see any reason why not. The only thing would be is if we think he's going to be getting more game time, and that's going to be more beneficial to him elsewhere. I mean, look, if Bristol City go up, for example,
there's no reason not to extend, is there?
There's no reason not to extend that loan. But look, I'm a big believer in Chelsea get so much criticism for the loans, that the only way we can make it work is if a player does really well on loan, is to bring them back into the fold. We haven't really seen it happen so far. I mean, hopefully it's happening with Chalobah. You'd like to see it happen with Christensen next season. I was very disappointed that Ake went back on loan. So I think, Tammy Abraham could not be doing more at the minute, could he? So
no, full fingers crossed then. The next question is from Freddie Kaufman. He just wants an appraisal of David Luiz so far. How do you think he's been getting on?
The first two games, I think he's done all right,
I think he's done very well.
In fact, in both games, I think he's probably been the best defender. It's quite an easy thing to say. Chelsea conceded 2 goals and David Luiz was there, but actually, I don't really think it's been his fault. And I think he actually had quite.
And the passing, there was one at Leicester. Sadly, it didn't result in a goal. Yeah. But I was standing with you, but I was also standing with a friend of ours, Callum, and he just looked back at me, standing in front. He just looked back at me, and what a ball from Luiz! I think he put Hazard through. it's a Fabregas-esque pass. And to have a defender with that in his locker is just so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the character as well, and you can just see him riling the crowd up. And obviously, there's that great story of him giving his shirt to the fan at the end of the game, which was a really nice moment. Did you see the whole story about that, by the way?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So Luis recognised this kid from his first time at Chelsea. He always used to hang around, like getting autographs and stuff, and he picked him out in the crowd and gave him his shirt.
That's a lovely gesture, isn't
lovely touch, and it's the sort of thing that
it's just him all over, isn't it?
While it's not the most important thing in the world, it's the sort of thing why the majority of kind of match-going Chelsea fans were so excited to have Luis back.
That's true, and also the disparity between fans and players was growing so much last season. It's nice to have that gap bridged slightly.
Yeah, and obviously Fabregas as well, ran the whole length of the pitch celebrating in front of the Chelsea fans. So that was nice as well.
Interesting question here from Carefree Celery. The question is basically, would you get rid of Courtois for a Jack Butland who's fit?
Yes, I think I would. Because I mean, I think at this stage Courtois is still the more accomplished keeper, but I think if obviously with Terry probably certainly coming to the end of his Chelsea career, whether that's this season or next season, you're probably going to want an upgrade on Cahill. Chelsea need more English players, they need more homegrown players, not just for the rules, but for the kind of the core of the club. And I think Jack Butland's a wonderful keeper, and I'd be perfectly happy to see him in Chelsea.
Cheers for your question, Carefree Celery. This one is from Max UTC. He says, although it's very early in the season, can you see where we need improvements, and do you think that will be rectified in January?
I still think we could probably do with. I mean, I know Batshuayi's been kind of playing that role, and Conte really not a fan of a substitution, is he?
No.
So it's a little bit difficult to say. I still think we're a little bit lacking up front. If Costa was to get an injury, or more likely a suspension, we're looking well light. So
striker.
Yeah. So I'd still like to see that kind of that Remy figure in his prime when he comes on, scores 5 goals a season, and wins you 5 points.
It's as we were, isn't it?
Exactly.
From what we've seen, it's exactly as we were. We need a striker. We need a centre back.
Yeah. Exactly. And look, it's different when Zuma comes back, if he gets straight in the team. Clearly, the back line is not quite working at the minute, so I definitely think that'll be something to assess.
Very interesting. And our final question is from Kenny, and Kenny wants to know...
one of the best people in the world.
His question's for the Hurricane, and he says, why does your friend Rory keep taking pictures of me in the away end?
Because it's like the best thing to do at Chelsea at the minute.
Best thing in the world. If any of you...
Everyone's doing it. Everyone's
doing it. If you ever see Kenny at an away game... make sure that you get a picture of him and tweet it to us. Here's an example of one I got. I think this was at Leicester. What a man. There's your answer. There's why I did it. At the
end of the season, we'll do a big collage every away game.
Exactly, yeah. And hashtag it Papping Kenny. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the subscribe button. Charlie, thank you so much for coming in.
No worries, mate.
And next time we speak, Arsenal will be just around the corner, and I cannot wait. Got any blows?
We've scored some crackers against Arsenal in the Premier League era, and as we're playing them this weekend, we thought it would be a good time to relive some of those marvellous moments. One of the most iconic Chelsea goals of modern...